In Venezuela, hundreds of metal workers take to the streets demanding salary hikes.
Police arrested 3 union leaders from Venezuela's state steel company. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richielago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Mayon volcano seismic activity calms down. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pays tribute to Filipinos. NATO's largest air drill to commence in the coming week. The European Commission vows to revive its free trade deal with Mercosur. And militant forces in DR Congo kill at least 46 people, half of them children. Comelec announced they will conduct a public hearing in Negros Oriental amid calls to postpone the local elections. Henry Villanueva reports.
The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, will conduct a public consultation hearing for all cities and municipalities of Negros Oriental. The public hearing, which is scheduled for June 23 to 26, is in line with the proposed postponement of the barangay and SK elections in the province. During the Senate Committee hearing on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, Comelec Chairman George Garcia said that they were pleased to postpone the said elections due to the assassination of Negros Oriental Governor Roel de Gamo. Garcia said there were also other reported cases of killings within the province. He explained that Comelec has the authority to postpone the elections not later than 30 days after the cessation of the cause for such postponement. But Garcia said there should be a valid and sufficient reason for the postponement of elections.
Titignan muna namin yung bang mga reasons kung bakit dapat mag-postpone ay present. At number 3, hindi po pwedeng kara-karaka basta magpo-postpone ng Comelec ng isang eleksyon sa isang lugar. Kung kaya po ngayong June 23 to 26 ay magkakaroon po kami ng pagdinig sa buong probinsya. Sa lahat po ng bayan, magkakaroon po kami ng public hearing upang alamin ang sentimiento ng mga kababayan natin, mga NGO doon, kahit po ang PNP at saka AFP, tungkol sa posibilidad na pagpupospone ng DSKE.
Garcia believes that there are good reasons on why Comelec should postpone the local elections in Negros Province. But he said the Comelec's decision must be fair so as to avoid any issues that may question the capability of the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police to administer an orderly and honest election.
Babalansehin po ng Comelec yan at therefore, we will come up with our decision whether to postpone or to reset the barangay and SK election in Negros by first week po of October. Pero po, magkakaroon muna kami ng pagdinig. Dapat po muna pakinggan ang mga kababayan natin, hindi basta declare sapagkat unfair din po yan doon sa mga umaasang magkakaroon ng eleksyon naman.
Henry Villanueva, reporting for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
COA to collect 2 billion pesos debt from 22 GSIS borrowers. The Commission on Audit taps GSIS for over $1 billion worth of debt from its borrowers. Michelle De Rio has the report.
The Commission on Audit has released a statement to the Government Service Insurance System, or GSIS, concerning a 2 billion peso debt from its 22 borrowers. According to state auditors, one of the largest debts was estimated at 600 million pesos by a property developer. The Commission did not disclose the borrower, identified only as Company 1. COA adds that the said borrower's loan security includes water theme parks, condominium units, a house and lot, and residential subdivision. The second biggest borrower was another property developer with an unpaid loan amounting to 353.987 million pesos and is alias as Company 3. Loan of Company 3 was approved on August 26, 1994, and to be settled in the span of 7 years with a 16% annual interest. On February 28, 2022, the insurance company's total debt soared. COA asserts GSIS to enforce and establish a task force and committee aimed to collect private loans, including interest and surcharges. The Auditing Commission also urges the insurance company to update its loan balance record on December 31, 2022 accounts. The proceeds will be applied to foreclosed collaterals in the years 1989, 1998, and 2003 to address the issue and recover the lent money by the government. Michelle Dario reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The North Luzon Expressway will implement its approved toll rates this June 15. However, some Solons are against it. Vin Pascua reports.
Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel urges the government to lighten the burden on motorists facing the soaring prices of petrol and commodities. This was raised ahead of the North Luzon Expressways or NLEX implementation of its new toll rates. Senator Pimentel adds that the imposition of the toll rates is unjustifiable amid the grave traffic in the expressway. The senator calls for the Toll Regulatory Board and NLEX Corporation to discontinue the application of the increased rates due to traffic congestion in the said expressway. The Toll Regulatory Board argues that the approved toll rates were justifiable. The agency clarifies that the rates went in a thorough review before being approved by the TRB. NLEX provisional toll increases states that Class 1 vehicles like cars, jeepneys, vans, or pickups will pay an additional 7 pesos on the open system of the expressway. An additional 17 pesos would be collected for Class 2 vehicles like buses and light trucks, and an additional 19 pesos for the Class 3 or heavy vehicles like trailer trucks. The expressway's open system covers routes in Caloocan, Mindanao Avenue, and Marilao, Bulacan. The closed system covering Marilao to Santa Ines in Mabalacat City will experience additional rates of 26 pesos for Class 1, 65 pesos for Class 2, and 11 pesos for Class 3 vehicles. Vin Pascua, reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Department of Labor and Employment vows to combat child labor in the country. Martin Liachon for the details.
Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA data, shows that there are 1.37 million working children in the country, with 935,000 of them being subjected to child labor. The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, notes that between 2018 and 2022, the agency profiled 620,556 child laborers, with 614,000 of them being reported to the appropriate agencies and organizations. DOLE has offered legal services to the 128,460 cases, with almost all of them being resolved. This year, DOLE vows to monitor the previous 160,288 victims profiled last fiscal year. The department has provided livelihood assistance to the families of the children that were rescued. DOLE has also collaborated with the Department of Social Welfare and Development, the Department of Education, and the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority to provide support to its program aimed at helping the youth. Martin Liachon, reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A Chinese Coast Guard vessel shadows a Philippine Coast Guard vessel deployed to deliver aid to Pag-asa Island. The BRP Francisco de Gojoy was on a 28-hour journey to provide assistance to the fisher folk of Pag-asa Island when the CCG sent radio signal challenges. According to the PCG, their Chinese counterparts called their attention when crossing the 12 nautical mile boundary they set. The PCG adds that they were expecting the radio challenge to occur. PCG, with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, is ferrying 5 million pesos worth of fishing gear and equipment to help local fishermen yield more catch.
Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology's new data says that activity in the Mayon volcano slightly dropped, but it continues to spew lava and sulfur dioxide. Mean Carvera has the details.
PHIVOLC said the seismic activity and sulfur dioxide emissions of Mayon volcano have slightly decreased in the past 24 hours. From 5 a.m. yesterday to this morning, PHIVOLC recorded one low-frequency volcanic earthquake. This is against the 21 volcanic tremors recorded from June 11 to June 12. PHIVOLC Director Teresito Bacolcol said they recorded one pyroclastic density current incident this morning. From 260 rockfall events last June 11 to June 12, Mayon volcano's rockfall activity decreased to 221 from June 12 to June 13. Mayon volcano's sulfur dioxide emission decreased from 1,205 tons a day to 650 tons a day last weekend. But yesterday, its sulfur dioxide emission increased to 723 tons.
Aside from that, yung sulfur dioxide natin sana hindi na tumaas pa or hindi magkaroon ng abrupt decrease. Problema po kasi kapag medyo biglang tumaas or biglang bumaba significantly. Kasi ibig sabihin kapag bumaba siya, ibig sabihin nabarahan, hindi makalabas. So kapag nabarahan yung sulfur dioxide natin, and if there is a sudden release of volcanic gas, ito ay makapag-produce ng explosive eruption.
Bacolcol said the lava flow from Mayon volcano reached about 1 kilometer down its south and southeast gillies. He warned that if lava flow continues and spreads faster, it might surpass the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone. He described the lava activity as an effusive eruption that may possibly last for several weeks or months.
Very slow moving. Again, sana ganito lang yung mangyayari. Technically, may eruption na. We call this effusive eruption, which is characterized by slow release of ash and volcanic gases as compared to volcanic explosive eruptions. Mas maganda ito lumalabas yung lava slowly, but on the bad side, kung ganito lang yung mangyayari, we are in for a long haul. It would probably take a few months. Katulad ng nangyari sa 2014 eruption, it was an effusive eruption, and it took from August to November 2014. Now, kung explosive eruption naman, the activity may last for a few days to few weeks. But then, again, we have to raise it to alert level 5.
Mean Carvera reporting for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recognizes Filipino contributions in healthcare and nation building in Canada. The Canadian PM also extended his congratulatory remarks in a post on his social media accounts. Trudeau also joined the celebration of Filipino Heritage Month in Ottawa during Philippine Independence Day. The International Labor Organization notes that there are over 10 million Filipinos living overseas and at least over 1 million leave the country yearly for job opportunities abroad. Data shows that Canada is currently home to almost 1 million Filipinos, accounting for about 2.59% of its population.
Coming up, NATO begins their largest air drill. Russia captures German tanks and U.S. infantry vehicles. And European Commission chief reprises the Mercosur free trade deal in Brazil. Stay tuned for more stories around the globe when we return.
Tagapaglinis natin ng 180,000 pesos sa jackpot.
Please welcome our Tana Gamers sa mga janitor at janitress sa trabaho ay hindi nagpapastress.
Yeah.
ang mayroon sa katawan ang isang pating?
Ano yung pating? Hindi ko alam.
Di ba alam yung pating talaga?
Hindi ko alam.
Anak ng pating. And this is the game! Agad! Agad!
Plano nga!
Dami ng problema, parang ang hirap ng huminga, di ba? Minsan pakiramdam mo, hopeless na. Kaya dapat ihayag ang saloobin, himayin ang hinaing, alamin ang pwedeng gawin. Mag-reality check tayo.
Tingin real talk ng bayan. Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's stand together sa Net 25.
Sige ha, pupunta na ako ron. Sabi niya, boy.
Ngayong linggo, alas 12 ng tanghali. Dito lang sa Net 25.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's stand together sa Net 25.
Welcome back to Mata na Agila International. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas has arrived in Beijing. State media outlets report that this is Abbas' fifth official visit to China and is expected to meet with President Xi Jinping. The two leaders are slated for talks on the latest development of Palestinian arena and regional and international matters of mutual concern. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Wang Wenbin notes that the Palestinian leader is an old and good friend of the Chinese people. Beijing sought to bolster its ties to the Middle East ahead of the United States' growing influence in the region.
Honduran President Xiomara Castro established ties with China ever since her nation made the move to pull away from diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Castro met with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang to plan for further future developments. She also attended the inauguration of Honduras' embassy in Beijing. Honduras established formal relations with China in March, becoming the latest in a string of countries to break diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Beijing has intensified its battle to win away Taiwan's diplomatic allies since independence. Leading Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen took office in 2016. China's latest victory comes as tensions have risen with the United States in recent months, doubling down on their increasing assertiveness towards Taiwan and growing influence in Latin America. China also sees these efforts as a way to counteract the increasing outside pressure dealt by EU and US lawmakers on behalf of Taiwan. The country's foreign minister, Eduardo Enrique Reina, told local media that Honduras had asked Taiwan to renegotiate its debt worth $600 million and for Taipei to double its annual aid to Honduras before making the switch. Taiwan has only 13 diplomatic partners left: Belize, Paraguay, and Guatemala in Latin America, Vatican City, Eswatini in Southern Africa, and several nations in the Caribbean.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan intensifies his call for the international recognition of Northern Cyprus. This move comes after Erdogan was re-elected as Turkey's head of state, making the Mediterranean statelet his first port of call. He met North Cyprus leader Ersin Tatar 2 weeks after extending his 2-decade rule until 2028.
Kimsenin bir 50 sene daha kaybetmeye tahammülü yoktur. Kıbrıs Türklerinin müktesep hakları olan egemen eşitlikleri ve eşit uluslararası statülerinin teyidi bizler için olmazsa olmazdır. Müzakere masasına geri dönülecekse bunun yolu Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin tanınmasından geçmektedir.
Şimdi gelinen noktada Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, sizlerin destekleriyle biz yeni siyaseti sonuna kadar sürdürmenin azim ve kararlılığı içerisindeyiz. Bu saatten sonra biz eskiye dönemeyiz. Çünkü ortaya yeni bir siyaset çıkmıştır. Sizlerin desteğiyle, anavatanın desteğiyle bütün dünyaya bunu anlatmış vaziyetteyiz. Çünkü 1960 anlaşmalarının içerisinde muktesep hak dediğimiz Kıbrıslı Türklerin Rumlar kadar egemenlik hakları vardır. İşte yeni siyasetimizin temellerini oluşturan bu muktesep haktır.
Erdogan rejected compromises during his joint appearance with Qatar. The Republic of Cyprus, along with the international community, favors a bizonal and bicommunal federation in line with the UN framework. Cyprus has been divided since 1974, when the Turkish army invaded the northern third of the island in response to a coup that had sought to unite the entire island with Greece.
NATO is flexing its military prowess in Europe for the next 2 weeks. On Monday, the alliance began its largest ever air drill in a show of force. Ralph Coronel reports.
The German-led Air Defender 23 exercises include some 250 military aircraft. The participants include 25 NATO and partner countries. Japan and Sweden will be taking part. Up to 10,000 service personnel are involved in the drills. The mission is to boost preparedness to protect against drones and cruise missile attacks. Lieutenant General Ingo Gerhardt of the German Luftwaffe says they are sending a message that the alliance can defend itself. The exercises will cause some disruptions to passenger flights in Europe. 3 flight zones over Germany will be off limits to civilian planes at different times during the drills. The exercises run until June 23rd. Ralph Coronel for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Reports are circulating that United States is expected to provide Ukraine with depleted uranium rounds to combat Russian forces. War analysts say American troops regularly use depleted uranium rounds. Some experts believe the ammunition is highly effective against Russian tanks. Sources say some White House officials are concerned that sending in depleted uranium shells could be called a war crime of the United States for providing weapons that could be hazardous to people's health and the environment.
Russia's defense ministry says they captured several German Leopard tanks and U.S. Bradley infantry vehicles. The ministry also released a video showing their Vostok soldiers inspecting the equipment supplied to Ukraine by Western countries. Russian forces say that the captured vehicles were their trophies.
Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiel has been detained by the country's security services. Emefiel, who served as governor of the bank for 9 years, had been removed from his post by Nigerian President Bola Tinubu. Nigeria's Department of State Services, or DSS, confirmed that the governor is now under their custody and will soon undergo questioning. Tinubu's office said that Emefiel had been suspended as part of an ongoing investigation of his office and the planned reforms in the banking sector. The DSS attempted to arrest Emefiel in December under suspicion of terrorism funding and other economic crimes. Emefiel has been widely criticized for a number of decisions made while running the central bank of Africa's largest economy. The governor is known for his decision to mint new bills after giving cash handouts to kidnapper gangs plaguing the country. The move has led to a shortage of cash in the continent's highest populated country.
Authorities arrested former Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon over investigation into the finances of the Scottish National Party. After 7 hours, Police Scotland released Sturgeon without charge, pending further investigation. Sturgeon insisted she had done nothing wrong. She said that her arrest had been both a shock and deeply distressing to her.
Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi meets with his Venezuelan counterpart Nicolas Maduro as part of his first Latin American tour. Raisi's visit to Venezuela came a year and a day after President Nicolas Maduro visited him in Iran. Iran's president pressed that the link between the two countries is not just one of normal bilateral diplomacy, but also of a more strategic nature. Alluding to how they share common interests and common enemies, with both of their countries being heavy United States sanctions.
ارتباط بین ایران و ونزوئلا یک ارتباط معمولی دیپلماسی نیست، بلکه یک ارتباط راهبردی است که دو کشور رو که از منافع مشترک، نگاه مشترک، دشمن مشترک برخوردارند.
More than a dozen agreements were signed by officials ranging from scholarships for Venezuelan students and the importations of cattle to Iran. Maduro's visit last year to Iran resulted in agreements to expand ties in the oil and petrochemical industries, the military, and the economy.
De la conexión, estamos firmando un acuerdo para fundar una naviera conjunta Irán-Venezuela que permita elevar el comercio a los niveles que el presidente Reisi está señalando. Llevarlo de 3.000 millones de dólares en esta etapa a 10.000 millones de dólares y luego a 20.000 millones de dólares.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has met with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in a bid to get their free trade deal moving again. The 27-member EU completed negotiations in 2019 on a wide-ranging trade deal with Mercosur, but it has yet to be ratified by any of the individual countries. The Mercosur, known in the West as the Southern Common Market, is comprised of Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Ratification stalled during the term of Inácio Lula's predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro, over concerns about his environmental policies and the EU's desire to secure their local economies over the cheaper imports coming from the Mercosur. The EU-Mercosur trade agreement is meant to link two markets with a total population of around 800 million people and accounting for about a fourth of the world's gross domestic product, or GDP. It envisions leading to more than $100 billion in annual trade revenue via the purchase of goods and services, cutting off customs restrictions, and easing access for interested Latin American exporters to the European market.
So this trade agreement is more than a trade agreement. I see it as a long-term engagement, as a platform for dialogue. And indeed, we have sent a letter with an additional instrument. We're very much looking forward to your answer because it's our opening to listen to you, to listen what can be improved, to listen where we have to make a step towards each other.
Aside from free trade agreements, von der Leyen also comes from her European partners to help Brazil put its green agenda back on track. She said the EU will invest 2 billion euros, roughly $2.2 billion in hydrogen production to lessen Brazil's dependence on fossil fuels. The EU also plans to provide 430 million euros to help fight deforestation and 20 million euros to the Amazon Fund to preserve the Amazon forest.
A premissa que deve existir entre parceiros estratégicos é a da confiança mútua e não de desconfiança e sanções. Em paralelo, a União Europeia aprovou leis próprias com efeitos extraterritoriais e que modificam o equilíbrio do acordo. Essas iniciativas representam restrições potenciais às exportações agrícolas e industriais do Brasil.
Brazil is the first stop on her Latin America tour. She will now travel to Argentina, Chile, and Mexico. This move can be seen as a preparation for the EU and Community of Latin America and Caribbean States Summit, or EU-CELAC Summit, in July.
President Lula, you brought Brazil back to where it belongs. As a major global player, a leader in the democratic world, and I'm here to tell you that Europe is back too. Europe is back in Brazil. Europe is back in Latin America.
The United States is planning to rejoin the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO. U.S. State Department believes it is essential to rejoin UNESCO as it is a platform in Washington's multi-domain rivalry with China. Secretary of State Antony Blinken earlier urged the U.S. Congress to set aside a $150 million fund for its potential return. Blinken said China is also UNESCO's single largest contributor. He says they want to be on UNESCO to work on rules, norms, and standards for artificial intelligence.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres says alarm over AI advancements must not obscure the grave harm already being done by digital platforms plagued with misinformation. He proposes an international code of conduct. Leila Agbalog reports.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres says deafening alarm bells over AI must not distract people from the damage digital technology is already doing to the world. Guterres warns that the proliferation of hate and lies in the digital space is causing grave global harm now. He says it is fueling conflict, death, and destruction and is threatening democracy and human rights now. He further warns that while unleashing social and cultural transformation globally, the online platforms have also exposed a darker side. Guterres is thus calling for the development of a United Nations Code of Conduct for information integrity on digital platforms. He says that the Code of Conduct should be based on a commitment to information integrity, human rights, and support for independent media.
This clear and present global threat demands clear and coordinated global action. Our policy brief on information integrity on digital platforms puts forward a framework for a concerned international response. Its proposals are aimed at creating guardrails to help governments come together around guidelines that promote facts while exposing conspiracies and lies and safeguarding freedom of expression and information.
Leila Agbalog from Matanang, Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Up next, Pakistan braces for an approaching cyclone. Metal workers clash with the police in Venezuela. And killer whales attack small boats off Spanish coast. Please don't go away. We've got more stories when Matanang Agila International returns.
Signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Simula sa sandaling ito, pareho na kayong tinatanggal sa posisyon ninyo.
Sa kanyang pagbabalik,
isa lang sa inyo ang dapat manatili.
maghahanap ng bagong kakampi.
Kailangan mo ng tulad ko. Magtulungan tayo sa'yo.
Pero tuluyan na nga bang nasira ang dating pagkakaibigan?
Makinig ka! Talaga bang gusto mo mawala ang kumpanya? Gusto mo bang mapunta ito kay Doyon? Ayokong mapunta sa kanya.
Mysterious Personal Shopper. Monday to Friday, dito sa Net25.
Manalo tayo pag together. Walang talo pag together. Let's get together sa Net25.
Reklamo ko, pinarang niya ako, binuhusan ako ng tubig.
Kampikon mo naman.
Aba, yung binuhus mo sa akin tubig na JJ Lo. Ayan, oh. Ano mo naman?
Hoy! Ano ba? Diyos ko! Hoy! It's a prank! Hindi mo alam na may nag-video sa'yo? Set up yan! Alam niyo lahat na may nag-video! Hoy!
Pakistan is bracing for the effects of an approaching cyclone. Cyclone Biparjoy is making its way from the Arabian Sea toward the coastlines of Pakistan and India. About 80,000 people in the path of the storm have been advised to leave their homes. The cyclone is expected to make landfall later this week, packing winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour. Coastal communities could be hit with storm surges of up to 3.5 meters, which could inundate low-lying settlements. The Army is helping to relocate tens of thousands of villagers. Authorities say in some villages, they are struggling to convince people to evacuate. Many don't want to leave their fishing boats and livestock behind. The storm's winds could destroy traditional mud and straw huts, which house the poorest citizens in Pakistan. Last summer, monsoon rains left a third of the country underwater, damaged 2 million homes, and killed more than 1,700 people.
A British man is trying to climb South Korea's tallest skyscraper. He has been arrested. Jeff Sanidad reports.
Local media have identified the man attempting to scale the 123-story Lot World Tower in Seoul on Monday as George King Thompson. His hometown information, however, was not given. Apparently, Thompson attempted the climb without any equipment. He made it almost two-thirds of the way up the tower before abandoning his quest. Building staff went out onto a gondola lift to persuade him to stop while he was at the 70th story. By the time he reached the 73rd floor, he gave in and police arrested him. He is charged with obstruction of official business. King Thompson is no stranger to scaling tall buildings. In 2021, authorities jailed him for trying to climb the top of the Shard, a 72-story building in London. The Lot World Tower is the 5th tallest building in the world. Jeff Sanidad for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
At least 46 people were killed by militia forces in a refugee camp in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Half of them were children. EJ Gonzalez has the details.
A militia group involved in numerous ethnic killings in the area attacked a camp in northeastern Ituri province overnight Sunday to Monday. The Kivu security tracker of KST counted at least 46 dead in the Lala camp. KST is a network of observers based in DR Congo's restive east. Community leader Desiree Malodra gives the same death toll of 46. He says 23 of them were children. Malodra adds that the toll is not final as the search continues for victims. The Lala camp for displaced people is 5 kilometers from Buol. Buol is the site of a UN peacekeeper base. Ituri province is one of eastern DRC's violent hotspots, where attacks claiming dozens of lives are common. Much of eastern DRC is plagued by dozens of armed groups, a legacy of regional wars that flared in the 1990s and 2000s. EJ Gonzalez for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
In Venezuela, metal workers of a state-owned iron and steel company, Sidor, clashed with police in the southern city of Bolivar. This during a protest to demand salary hikes. Pearl Rogacion reports.
3 union leaders from the Venezuelan state steel company have been arrested as protests erupt over labor demands in the southern Bolivar state. Recurring protests for salary demands have intensified in recent days in the Bolivar mining pole. Coordinator of the NGO Provea Marino Alvarado says that unionists from the state-owned Siderúrgica del Orinoco or SIDUR were arrested by the General Director of Military Counterintelligence early yesterday. Alvarado says since January 22, workers have been detained in these demonstrations. He says a good part of them are also workers at SIDUR, which once became the largest steel mill in Latin America, but has now fallen into decline amid the Venezuelan crisis. Hundreds of workers marched on Monday. Some of their demands include legal and contractual claims, reinstatement of workers fired during the pandemic, and those who have been intimidated, fired, and subject to precautionary judicial measures. Public employees are the lowest paid in the country. According to the workers, some of the plants stopped producing due to lack of investment. Pearl Rogacion for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
An 11-year-old British girl in France has been shot dead. Her parents gravely wounded. According to the prosecutor of the case, the fatal shooting follows a long-standing dispute between the suspect and his neighbors. Tristan Diaz reports.
The suspect accused of shooting dead an 11-year-old British girl in France and gravely wounding her parents has been charged with murder and remanded in custody. The prosecutor says the shooting followed a long-running feud between neighbors in the isolated French hamlet of Saint-Herbert-Pleneves-de-Faux. 70-year-old Dutch man Dirk R. allegedly opened fire on the British family around 10 p.m. on Saturday. This killed the girl and left her 50-year-old father with a serious head wound. The father remains in critical condition in intensive care. His wife is in hospital with less severe injuries. Their youngest daughter, age 8, managed to escape. Prosecutor Camille Miansani says the suspect has also been charged with attempted murder. Miansani says the Dutch man and his Belgian wife tested positive for alcohol and cannabis at the time they were taken into custody. She was later released. 2 rifles were seized from their home, including a .22 long rifle believed to have been used at the scene. Tristan Diaz for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A court in France sentenced the man to 18 years in prison for stabbing and burning alive his 15-year-old girlfriend. The 2019 killing of the secondary school pupil Sheena was revisited in France over the number of women who die at the hands of intimate partners. The court was told that the accused, a 17-year-old high school student at that time, had lured Sheena to a shed in the town of Creil to kill and burn her body. Examinations revealed multiple wounds inflicted by a knife, but also that Sheena was still breathing at the start of the fire. Investigators also found that Sheena was in the early stages of pregnancy at the time of her murder. The man sought a 20 or 30-year sentence, but the court took the status of the accused as a minor in consideration, making it an 18-year sentence. Restrictions prevent the media from identifying the accused.
Scientists are baffled by the increasing number of attacks by killer whales on small boats off the coast of Spain. More on that story from Thomas I. Likeness.
A group of endangered Iberian orcas has been ramming small watercraft off the Spanish and Moroccan coasts. You can see one of these encounters here on the screen. In the last 3 years, there have been more than 600 attacks on boats, 4 of them sunk. One sailor says the whales that attacked his boat hit the rudder at full speed. Now, these ocean mammals are huge. They measure up to 9 meters long. They weigh as much as 6 tons. So any collision with them can be damaging. But no one can seem to explain why these incidents are occurring. One theory floating around is that a killer whale, they named her Gladys, had a bad run-in with a boat and is now teaching other whales to attack vessels. Others suggest the encounters could be a form of play for the whales, but no matter what the explanation, it is terrifying for those on board a boat that is dwarfed by an orca. Killer whales are group-oriented. They live, hunt, and move in close-knit family pods. A Spanish conservation group is putting trackers on the whales so that authorities can locate them and hopefully minimize encounters with boats. Thomas I. Likeness from Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Uruguay is so desperate for water that they're drilling wells in a park in the capital city of Montevideo. Rani Bayuga tells us more.
A prolonged drought has left Montevideo thirsty and looking underground for drinking water. Drilling rigs have been in the 60-hectare park for the past 10 days. The water they discover will be used by local schools and hospitals. There are already 2 wells in the park producing water, and more are planned. The water is treated for human consumption. Montevideo is a city of 1.8 million people. Traditionally, it has relied on surface water. But a 3-year drought has prompted the city to look underground for supplies. Its 67 million cubic meter reservoir is nearly empty with just 4.4 million cubic meters of water remaining. And what is left is very salty and cloudy, making it virtually undrinkable. Meanwhile, sales of bottled water are up by more than 200%. And that's likely to increase as no rain is forecast in the immediate future. Ronnie Bayuga for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
In the demilitarized zone on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, owls have become the farmer's best friend. Rosel Feria reports.
Owls have returned to the region as a result of the work of BirdLife Cyprus, a non-governmental organization. BirdLife encouraged farmers to set up light wooden boxes with circular openings on tree trunks. These birdhouses have resulted in an increase in the number of barn owls and a subsequent decrease in the number of rats, mice, and other rodents that destroyed crops. It also means a decrease in the use of pesticides as the owls do the job of the poisons. Rat poison is harmful to both humans and the environment. A typical barn owl can devour as many as 5,000 rodents a year, and using them to control pests means growers can now practice organic farming. Rosel Feria for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Coming right up, JP Morgan Chase reaches settlement with Jeffrey Epstein victims. The Denver Nuggets capture their first NBA championship. And K-drama actress Park Soo-ryun dies at 29. Catch the latest in business, sports, and entertainment. Mata ng Agila International will be back.
May malaking pagbabagong magaganap sa inyong umaga. Abangan!
Ay abangan nyo dahil sa susunod meron pa kaming Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Luso! Manood ng Sa Ganang Mamamayan araw-araw. At sama-sama tayong mag-luso!
Thank you for watching Mata ng Agila International. To receive more trusted, connected, and on-point news, follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25TV.
Best Public Affairs Program. And the star goes to Open for Business Net 25.
It is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
JP Morgan Chase reached a tentative settlement with sexual abuse victims of Jeffrey Epstein. The proposed deal would settle a lawsuit filed last November by an unidentified woman on behalf of victims who were sexually abused by Epstein over a 15-year period when they were teenage girls and young women, the number of victims potentially rising to more than 100. The statement released by JP Morgan Chase reads the settlement is in the best interests of all parties, especially the survivors who were the victims of Epstein's terrible abuse. The statement did not disclose the settlement amount. Torbay, popular for its sandy beaches, has received recognition from the prestigious Blue Flag Awards. From Torquay, United Kingdom, Beverly Madrid has the details.
As Torbay prepares for the summer season 2023, its 6 beaches have recently been awarded the prestigious Blue Flag Award. Breakwater, Broadsands, Midfoot, Odicombe, Preston, and Abbey Sands retain their internationally recognized Blue Flag. Along with these 6, Anstey's Cove, Gilrington, Maidencombe, and Paynton Beach have received the Seaside Award. 76 beaches in England have obtained the Blue Flag Award. Among them were the stunning beaches of the English Riviera, one of the United Kingdom's most popular holiday destinations. To be awarded the Blue Flag, these beaches must meet the highest environmental standard. They must be committed to environmental sustainability, water quality, safety, and overall beach management. To maintain these criteria, teams of people in the Torbay Council have been working hard putting together a guide for the locals and tourists so they know what to do to make Torbay a pleasant place to enjoy. This is Beverly Madrid, UK Bureau for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Possible problems arise as more and more people rely on artificial intelligence. But is artificial intelligence technology a threat or opportunity? 2 experts weigh in on the issue of ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, they do not know the extent of it, right? It has started faking stuff. It has started faking research papers. It has started faking research outcomes. So he might be naive, but he might truly be believing that there is a judgment to that effect. There are research papers. It is writing research papers of its own to come to a desired research outcome.
Beyond regulation, we need to make a decision as humans, just to what extent we're willing to we're willing to flatten our own intelligence into machine intelligence, to what extent we're willing to let AI run our society.
Iga Swiatek and Novak Djokovic reign supreme as they take home the French Open 2023 titles. Vin Pasqua has the score.
Time to catch up in other sports news. First up, for the women's singles, Poland's Iga Swiatek continued her dominance with a win over the Czech Karolina Muchova. She defeated Muchova in 3 sets, 6-2, 5-7, and 6-4, securing her 3rd French Open crown and 4th Grand Slam win. With her 3rd win in Paris, Swiatek joins Serena Williams, Monica Seles, and Arantxa Sanchez Vicario as modern-day 3-time champions. The 22-year-old Swiatek also became the youngest woman to bag consecutive trophies in the French Open since Monica Seles from 1990 to 1992. Next up tonight, for the men's singles, Novak Djokovic records his 23rd Grand Slam. Novak Djokovic created history on Sunday by winning over Norway's Casper Ruud. He defeated Ruud in 3 sets, 7-6, 6-3, and 7-5, capturing his 3rd French Open title in a record-breaking 23rd slam. Djokovic snapped the 22 slam tie he shared with rival Rafael Nadal. His 3 French Open titles add to his 10 Australian Open titles, 7 at Wimbledon, and 3 in the US. Reporting tonight for sports, Vin Pasqua for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
In the 2023 NBA Finals, the Denver Nuggets won their first NBA championship. They have done it by defeating the Miami Heat in Game 5, 94-89, to a sold-out crowd in the Mile High City. Nikola Jokic delivered once more for Denver as he led the team with 28 points and 16 rebounds. The Joker also received the Bill Russell Trophy as he was named the Finals MVP. In his 8th NBA season, the championship filled the gap in the impressive record of Serbian star Jokic with 5 All-Star selections and 2 NBA Most Valuable Player awards. It was a night to remember for the Denver Nuggets fans as they have captured their first title in 47 NBA seasons. South Korean actress Park Soo-ryun dies in an unexpected accident. Sources say the 29-year-old Snowdrop actress fell down a flight of stairs while returning home on Sunday afternoon. The actress was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, but she was later declared brain dead despite attempts to revive her. Park debuted in 2018 with the musical Il Tenore, which showcased actors such as Lee Sang-yi and Jeon Mi-do. She also acted in other musicals and plays such as The Cellar, Othello, and The Day We Were in Love. From its breathtaking alpine scenery to picturesque villages, Switzerland has something to offer for everyone. Travelers from all over the world come here regardless of their desired holiday. From Switzerland, Ryan Florentino gives us a tour.
Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Florentino and welcome back to Europe. This time we're going to be exploring the tourist spots here in Switzerland.
So in the Genève station, underground, platform 4, we heading. That's where we going. So here we are in Europe once again.
Aside from the main cities, Switzerland is a rural country. And what better way to enjoy the scenery than to travel by train? During our trip, we stayed in Itzewald, a village along the shore of Lake Brienz. Breathtaking views can be seen across the lake and even up the local mountains. Itzewald is a tiny village in Switzerland with less than 500 residents. It's filled with picturesque Swiss houses and sprinkled with lakeside cafes and restaurants, offering views of the snow-capped mountains in every direction. Moving on, we took the train to visit Schilthorn, a summit in Europe, in the Bernese Alps of Switzerland. It overlooks the valley of Lauterbrunnen in the Bernese Oberland and is the highest mountain in the range, lying north of the Seffinenfurg Pass. The Schilthorn lies above the village of Mürren, from where a cable car leads to its summit. Many scenes were filmed at Piz Gloria for the 1969 James Bond 007 film on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Piz Gloria is located on top of Schilthorn at 2,970 meters high. Like most others, I tested my fear of heights by venturing along the mountain face. 6:45 in the morning. Now this location may be familiar to some. Yes, that's right. This spot in Itzewald was the set for some scenes featured in the popular Korean drama series Crash Landing on You. Next, we stopped in the valley to head up to the summit of Grindelwald. Cable cars have been a lucrative source of income for the tourism industry and provides for the local economy. Here again, you can test your fears of heights by walking along the suspension bridges. The Mannlichen is a 2,343-meter mountain in the Swiss Alps, located within the canton of Bern. It can be reached from the Wengen by the Wengen to Mannlichen aerial cableway.
Oh, this is our time. That's where we're going to be at.
So, back to Geneva, we were able to have a quick walk from the station along the streets to visit the Lake Geneva.
This is Ryan Florentino, London Bureau for Mata ng Agila, trusted, connected, on point.
And to send you off, here's a quote from American track star and four-time Olympic gold medalist Jesse Owens. We all have dreams, but in order to make dreams come into reality, it takes an awful lot of determination, dedication, self-discipline, and effort.
It's kind of like what we were talking about a few days ago. You can be a dreamer and a realist if you give the effort.
Exactly. And dreamers are not the ones that are also sleepers.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on those dreams.
Don't
Make them come true.
Those dreams. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.